All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to start our word problem unit, and you'll notice that there are 5 steps to solving our word problems. Again, you read the whole problem, you look at what they're talking about. We're going to define variables. Generally, we're going to answer a question that's found at the end of the problem. We're going to use x and y for our variables. We're going to solve the system of equations, generally graphing, substitution, or elimination. And then we're going to answer the question with the label, right? So let's take a look at our notes. We're going to do problem number 1 today, and it's cost and count. So who would like to read the question for us? Thank you. Go ahead. Excellent. Okay, so we're talking about what? Cards, right? So there's 2 types of cards, right? And we're trying to find out how much they sold, correct? All right, so step 1 is done. We read the question, we kind of understand what's going on. What's step 2? We're going to define our variables, and I'm going to choose 2 variables. So I'm going to go x equals, and I'm going to go y equals. Okay? X is going to be what? Number of small cards, let's say, okay? So I'm going to go number of small cards. Notice that I didn't just put small cards. I put number of small cards. Okay, so don't just put small cards. You got to say, because it could be cost of the small card, size of the small card, that type of thing. All right, now y is what? Number of the large cards. Okay, and I found it at the bottom of my problem. How many of each type of card did the student sell? I got X, I got Y, number of small, number of large. Okay, so that's step 2. I'm done with step 2. What's step 3? I have to make 2 equations. Now, this type of problem I call cost and count. So I'm going to make 2 categories. One of my categories is cost or value with money. The other one is count. So when you do these types of problems, that's what you're going to do. You can have a category of cost and an equation for count. Okay? Let's look at count first. How many cards do I have? 25. It says it right here. So I'm going to go 25. Okay, if I wanted to find the number of students in the class, I could count the number of boys and the number of girls, and I would add them together, right? Okay, how do I represent this to equal 25? The number of small cards, which is X, plus the number of large cards, which is Y, equals 25. So if I take the number of small cards and I take the number of large cards, it's going to give me a total of 25 cards. Now I'm going to look at cost or value. How much are the small cards worth? $3, right up here, right? So I'm going to go 3x, because each one is $3. How much are the large cards? $5 right there, right? So 5y equals $95. Notice that they have dollar signs, cost or value. Right? So I've got cost and I've got count. One deals with the number, the other one deals with the value. Okay? So I got my two equations, that's step 3. Now I'm going to go to step 4. And what is it? I need to solve. Now, did they tell me I had to solve a certain way? No. So I get to choose. How would you like to solve this? Elimination probably looks the best. Remember, I can graph, I can substitute, or I can eliminate. But if they're in standard form, so probably elimination would be the best. Okay, so I'm going to take the first equation, and how do you want to change that? Okay, I can multiply it by 3. So 3x plus 3y equals what? 75. I'm going to take my other equation and I'm going to put it down below. Now what? Okay, I'm going to subtract, so I'm going to use my elimination. Notice I'm going to put the negative sign out front and I'm going to minus it. I'm going to cup it. 3x minus 3x is? 0. We eliminated it. 3y minus 5y is? Negative 2y. 75 minus 95 is? Negative 20. And then y gives me 10. Would I have a negative number there? Why not?
Negative divided by a negative is positive.
That's correct. Correct. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. If I got a negative number, I know I messed up because it's the number of cards, correct? So am I done?
No.
Why?
It's by x.
I need to find x. So I'm going to grab one of the equations. It doesn't matter which. I'm going to grab the first one. X gives me 15, okay? So I solve for x and I solve for y, and that is step 4. Have we done this before?
Yes.
We did step 4. We did a lot of it, okay? Now we're moving on to step 5. What does step 5 ask us to do?
Label.
We need to label. We need to answer our question. So what does the 10 and the 15 stand for? 15 what?
15 small cards.
Okay, 15 small cards. And why small cards? Why isn't it large cards? Because it's x. And x we defined up above as number of small cards, right? That's why it's 15 of small cards. All right? And y is 10 large cards. So I'm going to go 10 large cards. And did I answer my question? Because it asked me how many of each type of card. Okay. So if you go through the step-by-step list of, okay, number 1, I read the problem. Number 2, I define the variables. Number 3, I come up with 2 equations. Step 4, I solve using graphing, substitution, elimination. And finally, I label my answer and I make sure I answered my question. Okay? All right. Any questions? Okay, so that is cost and count for today.